Ukraine. This nation, nestled in the heart of Eastern Europe, has commanded global attention for years. But why? Why has this nation become a focal point for international concern, a linchpin in the balance of power? The answers lie not in fleeting headlines, but in the deep well of history, geography, and resources that define Ukraine. Ukraine is a land of vast plains, fertile fields, and strategic waterways. It sits at the crossroads of East and West, bordering Russia to the east and northeast, and several European Union member states to the west. This geographic reality underpins Ukraine's complex relationship with both its powerful neighbor and the Western world. Understanding Ukraine's current predicament requires a journey back in time, a retracing of the historical threads that have woven the intricate tapestry of this nation's existence. For beneath the surface of contemporary conflicts lie the echoes of a rich and often turbulent past, a past that continues to shape the present and influence the future. To comprehend Ukraine's present, we must journey back to the 9th century, a time when the seeds of its rich history were first sown. It was during this period that a powerful East Slavic state known as Kievan Rus emerged, a federation of Slavic tribes that would become a cornerstone of Eastern European history. Centered on the city of Kiev, this medieval realm laid the foundation not only for modern Ukraine but also for Russia itself. Kiev, often referred to as the Mother of Rus cities, became a vibrant hub of political, cultural, and religious life. Kievan Rus, a vibrant center of trade and culture, left an indelible mark on the cultural and religious landscape of the region, fostering a shared heritage that continues to resonate today. The adoption of Christianity in 988 under Prince Vladimir the Great was a pivotal moment, intertwining the region's fate with the Eastern Orthodox Church. However, the historical narrative is not one of uninterrupted unity. The region's strategic location made it a crossroads of various cultures and a target for numerous invasions and conflicts. Over centuries, the territories that encompass present-day Ukraine experienced periods of division and foreign rule, becoming a battleground for competing empires. The fragmentation of Kievan Rus led to the rise of regional powers and the eventual decline of centralized control. The Mongol conquests of the 13th century shattered the unity of Kievan Rus, paving the way for the rise of new powers. The Mongol invasion was a cataclysmic event that reshaped the political landscape, leading to the emergence of the Grand Duchy of Lithuania and the Kingdom of Poland as dominant forces in the region. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth and the Tsardom of Russia gradually extended their influence over Ukrainian lands, shaping the political and social fabric of the region. The Union of Lublin in 1569 created a powerful state that controlled much of Ukraine, while the Tsardom of Russia expanded its territories eastward. By the 18th century, the Russian Empire had emerged as the dominant force in Eastern Europe, incorporating much of Ukraine into its vast domain. This period marked the beginning of significant cultural and political changes as the Russian Empire sought to integrate Ukrainian territories into its imperial structure. This period witnessed the suppression of Ukrainian culture and language as the Tsarist regime sought to assimilate its newly acquired territories. Policies were implemented to diminish the influence of Ukrainian identity, including the banning of Ukrainian publications and the imposition of Russian as the official language. Despite these efforts, a distinct Ukrainian identity persisted, fueled by a rich literary and artistic tradition. The resilience of the Ukrainian people and their commitment to preserving their heritage ensured that their cultural identity would endure through centuries of foreign domination and suppression. The tumultuous 20th century brought about the collapse of empires, reshaping the global landscape in ways that were both dramatic and far-reaching. The old world order crumbled, giving way to a new era defined by the rise and fall of nations, and the birth of new nations. This period of upheaval saw the emergence of countries that had long been under the yoke of colonial rule or imperial dominance, now stepping into the light of self-determination and sovereignty. In the aftermath of the Russian Revolution, Ukraine declared its independence in 1918, a bold move that signaled its desire to forge its own path amidst the chaos, only to be drawn into a brutal civil war. The struggle for control and the fight for a unified national identity plunged the country into a period of intense conflict and suffering, and ultimately incorporated into the Soviet Union as the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic. This incorporation marked the beginning of a new chapter in Ukraine's history, one that would be defined by both progress and profound hardship. The Soviet period was marked by both progress and tragedy for Ukraine. While the Republic saw significant advancements in industry and infrastructure, these came at a tremendous human cost. On one hand, the Republic experienced industrialization and modernization, transforming its cities and economy. Factories sprang up, and new technologies were introduced, bringing a semblance of modernity to the region. But on the other, it endured the horrors of forced collectivization. This policy, aimed at consolidating individual landholdings and labor into collective farms, led to widespread suffering and resistance among the peasantry. And the Holodomor, a man-made famine in the 1930s that claimed millions of lives. This tragic event remains one of the darkest chapters in Ukraine's history, a stark reminder of the devastating impact of totalitarian policies. With the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991, Ukraine once again emerged on the world stage as an independent nation. This newfound independence was a moment of triumph, a long-awaited return to self-governance. This newfound independence, however, came with a complex legacy. The years under Soviet rule had left deep scars, and the path forward was fraught with challenges. As a former Soviet republic, Ukraine inherited a massive nuclear arsenal, the third largest in the world at the time. This arsenal was both a symbol of power and a potential source of peril. This arsenal, while potentially guaranteeing Ukraine's security, also posed a significant risk in a world grappling with the dangers of nuclear proliferation. The international community watched closely, aware of the delicate balance of power. In a landmark decision, Ukraine chose to relinquish its nuclear weapons. This move was seen as a bold step towards global disarmament and a commitment to peace. Under the Budapest Memorandum of 1994, Ukraine agreed to transfer its entire nuclear arsenal to Russia for dismantlement. This agreement was a significant moment in the post-Cold War era, symbolizing a shift towards cooperation and trust. In exchange, Russia, the United States, and the United Kingdom pledged to respect Ukraine's independence, sovereignty, and existing borders. This promise was intended to provide Ukraine with the security assurances it needed to move forward without nuclear weapons. This agreement, hailed as a triumph for nuclear non-proliferation, would later become a focal point of contention in the wake of Russia's annexation of Crimea. The events that followed would test the strength and validity of the promises made, leaving Ukraine to navigate a complex and often perilous geopolitical landscape. Following the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, relations between Ukraine and Russia remained complex, marked by periods of cooperation and tension. The dissolution of the Soviet Union left Ukraine as an independent nation, but with deep historical, cultural, and political ties to Russia. Over the years, these ties would be both a source of collaboration and conflict, as both nations navigated their new realities. Ukraine's strategic position, and its significant Russian-speaking population in the eastern regions and Crimea, added layers of complexity to their relationship. However, the simmering tensions erupted into open conflict in 2014, with Russia's annexation of the Crimean Peninsula. This sudden move by Russia was not just a geopolitical maneuver, but also a response to the changing political landscape in Ukraine. The annexation was a dramatic escalation that caught the world's attention and set the stage for a new era of East-West relations. This event, widely condemned by the international community as a violation of international law, marked a turning point in the relationship between the two countries and had profound implications for the regional security order. The United Nations and various international bodies quickly denounced the annexation, calling it an illegal act that undermined the sovereignty of Ukraine. The global response was swift, with many countries imposing sanctions on Russia, aiming to pressure it into reversing its actions. Crimea, a peninsula jutting out into the Black Sea, holds strategic importance for both Ukraine and Russia. Its location provides a critical naval advantage, and its ports are vital for maritime trade and military operations. The region's rich history, dating back to ancient times, has seen it change hands multiple times, each transition leaving a mark on its cultural and political landscape. Home to the Russian Black Sea Fleet's naval base at Sevastopol, Crimea has long been a point of geopolitical contention. The naval base is not just a military asset, but a symbol of Russian naval power in the region. Control over Sevastopol means control over the Black Sea, making it a highly coveted prize for any nation. In February 2014, following the Ukrainian Revolution of Dignity that ousted pro-Russian President Viktor Yanukovych, Russian troops without insignia took control of strategic locations in Crimea. These troops, often referred to as "little green men," moved swiftly and efficiently, facing little resistance. The revolution in Ukraine had created a power vacuum, and Russia seized the opportunity to assert its influence over Crimea. A hastily organized referendum, deemed illegitimate by the international community, was held, and the results were used to justify the annexation of Crimea by Russia. The referendum, conducted under the watchful eyes of Russian troops, claimed overwhelming support for joining Russia. However, the international community, including the European Union and the United States, rejected the results, citing the lack of transparency and the coercive environment in which it was held. The annexation was met with widespread condemnation and sanctions from the West, but Russia maintained its control over the peninsula. These sanctions targeted key sectors of the Russian economy, including finance, energy, and defense, aiming to isolate Russia economically and diplomatically. Despite these measures, Russia showed no signs of relinquishing its hold on Crimea, further straining its relations with the West. This event marked the beginning of a protracted conflict in eastern Ukraine, with Russian-backed separatists seizing control of parts of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions. The conflict, often referred to as the War in Donbass, has resulted in thousands of casualties and displaced many more. It has become a frozen conflict, with sporadic fighting and a fragile ceasefire, symbolizing the ongoing struggle for influence and control in the region.